I feel like I need to do a countdown or something. Okay, it's 6 o'clock, so I'm gonna get going. Welcome to everyone that's here. So this is a general information session about our 2026 Lilly Endowment Community Scholarship. And my name is Jodi Kateiva. I am the administrator here at Legacy Foundation. I've been here 10 years, so I'm hopeful that I can, walk you through this process. And if you have any questions, you can certainly let me know. The way we're going to kind of do this tonight is if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself and ask it throughout the presentation. That's fine. I will say that this is really because we are recording it and we're going to put it up on the website. I would prefer you keep any personal questions. So if you have very specific questions about you, your family, things like that, I would prefer to do that offline. And I'm more than happy to schedule a meeting one-on-one with you, or you can just call the office or send me an email. But if you have general application questions, then we are more than welcome to cover them here tonight. So let's get started. So this is our main screen, and also, so this presentation is already on our website. If you were to go to legacyfdn.org, under the Lilly Scholarship tab at the very bottom, there's a link to get to this PowerPoint. So you already have this. This is available. And again, once this recording is done, tomorrow we'll put that up on the website so that you have everything that we've covered here tonight available to you. Oh, sorry. So very, very quickly, um, just to let you kind of know what Legacy Foundation does. So we are the community foundation that supports Lake County. We just celebrated our 32nd anniversary. And obviously, I think what we're most known for is we have a scholarship program. We also provide a lot of grants to local nonprofits. And our strategic plan for the next, we started it last year, moving through to 2028, is really to strengthen organizations locally. So we work with nonprofits to make sure that they can do the best work that they can. We connect communities. We have a lot of programs where we connect residents with the organizations that we work with. We work with local government and local leaders. For giving locally, again, we have a scholarship program, we have a grant program, mobilizing philanthropy. So part of what we do is, we work with donors that want to give money to students and nonprofits, and we help them do that. And then finally, we have a program called Biz Hub. And so we're really into supporting entrepreneurship. So people that own small businesses. If you know anybody that has a small business or wants to start a small business, we have lots of workshops and activities and events where nonprofits and entrepreneurs can get together and connect. So we're much more than just a scholarship place. So we have a scholarship program in general. Here tonight, we're talking about the Lilly. So it opened in July, and the deadline for you all to submit that is going to be September 25th. We also have our Universal Scholarship. So that will open November 1st. So that's a little bit different. With the Lilly, we're just covering the one scholarship. For our Universal, we have over 40 different scholarships available. It's for high school seniors as well as current college students. And so I would definitely encourage you, when you're on our website, if the Lilly doesn't interest you, or if unfortunately you don't receive the Lilly, definitely check out our Universal Scholarship. There's a lot of opportunities through that. And then we also have some unique scholarships. We have vocational scholarships for students that are going to go into the trades or a vocational program. We have law school scholarships, and then we have medical school scholarships as well. So our website has information about all the different scholarships that we offer. And so again, I have this in here mainly so that when people are looking through, they understand that we are more than just the Lilly. So this just kind of outlines what we have for our universal application. And again, that's the one that opens in November. So now we're going to talk about the Lilly, which is why we're here. So what is the Lilly? So the Lilly, it was established in 1998. And so what's interesting about the Lilly is that every single community foundation in Indiana has their own Lilly scholarship. It's funded through the Lilly Endowment, and each county gets a certain number of students that they're able to award this scholarship to. So we are able to award 6 scholarships. So what the award covers, it's full year, excuse me, 4 years of full tuition, and it's to any accredited 4-year public or private college in Indiana. But I do like to tell everyone this is not a full ride scholarship. So it is not going to be covering your room and board. It's only going to cover your tuition. So that being said, a lot of the students that receive the Lilly, because they tend to have, really excellent academics and they're really involved, they often will get other scholarships that help with room and board. Some end up going to college for free. Others owe just a little bit. That's really kind of dependent on you. But the Lilly scholarship itself doesn't cover room and board. So it's just full tuition. So what that might mean is, the scholarship value is based on where you've chosen to go to school. So if you go to Bloomington and say your tuition is $12,000 a year, the Lilly will cover that. If you wanted to go to one of those private institutions, Valpo, Rose-Hulman, Notre Dame, then the Lilly would pay that full tuition, which can be upwards of, 45, 50, $60,000 a year. So to be eligible, you have to be a resident of Lake County, Indiana. You have to graduate from an accredited school in Lake County. So you have to be graduating by this June. If you're a junior who's skipping a year, that's fine. As long as you're going to be completing your final year in high school by June of 2026, you are eligible. You need to have an unweighted GPA of 3.25. And so some of you may have access to that number. Some of you may have to reach out to your guidance. I know that schools do this differently. So sometimes when you pull up your transcripts, it will tell you what your unweighted GPA is. But other schools, they may have to do a manual calculation for you. So that is something that you'll have to reach out to them about. There are some financial eligibility requirements, so we'll cover that in more detail later. But your family has to be under a certain threshold in order to apply. So if you're looking at the website and you see that and your family makes more than that, you are not able to apply to this particular scholarship. But I would encourage you to come back and apply to our universal scholarship, because we don't have the same benchmarks for that one. This particular requirement is only for the Lilly with that specific the financial for the family. And you do not have to be a citizen to apply. So citizenship is not required. So what are we looking at? Mainly, academics. So our reviewers will look at your academics. We'll look at the quality of the courses that you've taken. We're looking at demonstrated leadership skills, and that can be varied. So, some students are leaders at school. They may be in a leadership role in a club or in NHS. They may be in a leadership role on a sports team, or like a chess team, something like that. We have other students who are leaders maybe at work. And so perhaps you don't participate in a lot of activities at school because you work. So there is an opportunity for you to talk about your leadership skills in that capacity. Finally, we have some students who are caretakers in the home. So maybe mom or dad works and there's little ones at home. And so you're coming home and you're assuming kind of parental roles. So we're looking at leadership and all the different ways that you can be a leader in your life. We're looking at service to others. So, have you given back to your community? Have you participated in any volunteer activities? Things like that. Volunteering with your church or volunteering, even, do you do something around the neighborhood? Anything like that. We're going to be looking at character. So, I know that's a little bit nebulous and it's kind of hard to score. Um, but we're going to be looking at recommendation requests or recommendations that get sent to us from your school. So things like that. There is an essay component. They're really more short answers than essays. It's really just a way for the committee to get to know you. And then finally, for those students that are selected to move ahead in the round, there is an interview. So we do a formal 20 to 25-minute interview here at Legacy Foundation. So this is the financial eligibility requirements that we were talking about. So basically, your family has to fall below 150% of the HUD guidelines for low to moderate income. So, what we ask you to do, and if you're a student listening and you're not sure, ask your mom or your dad or your guardian, and they should be able to provide this information for you. So, the number in family, those are the number of people that are reported on their taxes. So, if it's you and mom living in the household together, that's likely two. If it's mom, dad, and three brothers plus you, then maybe that's six. So ask your family what that number is, and then what their AGI was on their taxes from 2024. And so if the number of people and that corresponding value, if it's beneath that, you were able to apply. If your family makes more money than that, then you're not eligible. And so then uh, we are going to ask for those students that are selected to kind of move ahead and be interviewed. We will ask to get documentation of that AGI. And I work with students and parents to get that when it comes to that. And in particular, there are some people that don't file taxes, and so that's fine. I find ways to work with them just so that we can verify the family's income. And again, if you've got questions, just shout them out. So there's a financial information flow chart here. This is one of those, if you have a unique situation, believe me, I've heard so many, families look so different these days. So if you've got a question, if it doesn't really make sense, if your situation isn't on here, feel free to give me a call. I'll work you through this. What we do is we follow basically what the FAFSA does. So that's the application that you, I hope, will fill out when it opens October 1st, where you're going to get your potential Pell grants and subsidized loans for school. We follow how they do it just to make it easier for us. So if your parents are married, you're going to provide information from both parents. If your parents live together but they're not married, you're still going to provide both. If one parent, say they're not together, if one parent provided more support than the other, you're going to use the parent that provided the most support. If the parent that provided the most support is remarried, you do have to use the step parent's income as well. And then if you're emancipated or you're a ward of the state, then you would use your own sole income if you have any. So again, if you've got questions about any of that, I'm more than happy to walk you through what you should do. So the timeline, the main thing I really want students to know is that the Lilly is different because your school is really involved in this scholarship. It's the only scholarship we have where the schools play a role. So for our universal one that opens in November, schools aren't a part of that at all. But for this one, each school picks one nominee to move ahead to the final round of scoring. So what's going to happen is you'll apply, and then on September 25th, I will see how many students say Steel City. I've got 2 of you on here tonight. Say there's 4, 5, 7 applicants from Steel City. I'm going to send your applications to Steel City, and they're going to pick one student to move ahead to be reviewed by the Legacy Committee. So Legacy, I have a group of reviewers that we work with. It's usually about 5 to 6 people. They will review one application from each of the 25 high schools in Lake County. And so you will find out by October 15th if you have been determined to be your school's finalist, the nominee. And so once that happens on the 15th, uh, I'll reach out to you. That's where I will work with you to get your financial verification documents. This is when you're going to be reviewed by the Legacy Lilly Committee. And after that's done, we will bring the highest scoring finalists. It's usually about 16 to 18. We will bring you in for an interview. And that interview is going to be November 6th or 7th. So it's a 20, like I said, 25-minute interview. And that's here at the Legacy Foundation office. And I work with all of our finalists to make sure that transportation isn't an issue. So, you know, if you are selected as a finalist, we will work with you to make sure that you're able to come out, and we work with your school so that you can come out and do that interview with us. And then we will announce the recipients in mid-December. And I know you're probably thinking, why so long? And it's because this is a statewide scholarship, everything that Legacy does, we then have to turn around and we give that information to the Lilly Endowment. So they look at all of our applications and all of our scores, make sure that we've done everything correctly, make sure that we've followed, the guidelines that we have set forth. And it takes them some time to do that. So after the interviews, we run the numbers, we score you. I send that all to the endowment, and then the endowment will approve our selections. So at the end of the process, we'll have 6 recipients, and then there's 4 students that we have that are kind of our alternates, and that's in case someone declines the award. And that does happen sometimes because this scholarship is only for Indiana. So we have had students that have won, but they've also gotten other large scholarships, or they've decided that they want to go outside of Indiana for college. And so, we have alternates for that. So, I mean, the good news is that if you are selected as a finalist and if you're selected to be interviewed, there's going to be six of those students are recipients, and then we award an additional 6 scholarships. So 12 out of those, 16, 18 students are going to walk away with at least some kind of scholarship. So that's pretty exciting. And so now I'm just going to get into what the application looks like. Hopefully you're all familiar with our website. Everything that we do is on the website, so you have to apply online. We don't take paper applications. If you go to our website, you'll just do the drop down for the Lilly Endowment. You're going to have to create a brand new login. So a couple things. One, please don't use a high school issued email account, because often I cannot email you. We do 99.9% of our communication through email. And if you give me an email that you can't access or I can't email, then you may miss out on some really important information. Also, this is just something I tell most of the students I work with, you know, now that you're starting to get into the world of scholarships, I'm sure we're not going to be the only one you're applying to. You're going to be applying to college, things like that. I like to tell people to create an email that you're using solely for that type of thing. Because I know me, my personal email gets so junked up. There is such an enormous amount of spam and garbage that comes through that I miss things. But if you have something that just says, Jody's Jodi College 2026, at Gmail or whatever, or your first name and your last name, whatever. Um, and you keep it and you only use that when you're applying to jobs, applying to scholarships, or going to schools, and just make a mental note. Hey, I'm going to check this email, every day or two, a couple times a week. That would be my suggestion. If you've already created an account and you used a high school issued email, don't freak out. You can go into the system and you can change your email. So just update it in the system. So you're going to create your profile. This is a stickler for me is, everything that you put in here, that's how we're going to see your application. So if things are misspelled or not capitalized correctly, the reviewers can see that. And if you're looking at going to Notre Dame and this scholarship can be worth $250,000, I really want a student that takes the time to capitalize, spell things properly, things like that. And then also, this application really needs to be completed by students, not parents. And so again, when we're talking about your profile, there's in the top right corner, there's an edit my profile. So if something changes, your email, your address, your phone number, whatever, please make sure that you do that, especially because you're applying now and we're not notifying people until December. So things can change. So I would hate to try and get a hold of you to tell you some fabulous news, and I can't because the phone number doesn't work any longer and you're not getting your emails or whatever. So once you enter your information and you're on the dashboard, there's an apply button up at the very top. It's going to say the Lilly Endowment, eligibility quiz. So that's what gets you into the application. And it's going to ask some pretty basic questions. So the key is all these questions have to be answered yes. If for whatever reason while you're in here, one of these is a no, then that means that you won't be eligible. So you have to be a Lake County resident, you have to be a senior in Lake County, you have to have the unweighted GPA, and you have to plan at least partially to apply to a school in Indiana. So does this mean that we don't want you applying to other schools? Absolutely not. Apply to all the universities that your heart dreams of. But we want to make sure that you understand that this scholarship is only going to be able to be used in Indiana. So if you're someone that knows, hey, I've wanted to go to New York my whole life, that's awesome, but maybe this scholarship is not for you, but we have other ones for you. It's going to ask you about the income eligibility. And again, this is, something that, I already went over this. And so it's going to ask you, make sure that you click yes. Um, so my family income is less than the required maximum AGI. And then at the very bottom, we want students again to understand that their schools are going to be involved and that they are picking a finalist. So once you select yes for all of these, and then you're in, this is what the application is going to look like. I know that it looks really long and kind of cumbersome, but I've asked students and they said that minus the short answers, because those, depending on your writing style and how long it takes you, it may take you longer, it may take you a little bit shorter. They say it takes about 2 to 3 hours to complete it. So please don't get overwhelmed. I know it looks huge. It's like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to get all this done. But I promise once you get in there, you know the answers to all of these questions. We're not asking you anything that you don't already know, and we're just getting to know you. If you do decide that you don't want to apply, because I'm going to send a lot of reminders, I'm going to be really annoying. If you're like, it's not for me, I don't have time, I don't want to do it, at the very bottom, there is an abandon button. And if you select that, then I will stop pestering you. I hope you don't do that, but if you do, that way you won't. Because if not, then I'm going to continually send you emails and texts and things like that. Um, in the top right, there's a question list. So if you wanted to download a PDF of the application, say you wanted to print it and handwrite on it and stuff like that, you could certainly do that. And then each of these sections, they kind of expand and close so that you can kind of work on one section at a time. So what are we asking? We're asking demographic information. Our reviewers don't see that, but it's good for us because, we serve a very diverse population here in Lake County. Um, and we want to make sure that our scholarships are going to a diverse group of students. And so we just want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our community. And so we keep that demographic information of who's applying, who's receiving awards for our board of directors. We're going to ask for your scholastic information. So we get your transcripts from your school, so you don't have to do anything with that. We're also going to get your ACT and SAT scores. We do score ACTs and SATs, but they're not scored a lot. They're a small part of what we're looking at. We're going to ask what your major or your minor is. And if you're not sure, that's okay. It's kind of an open-end question. I would say at least give us some ideas of what you're thinking. So um, you're not locked into that. So say you apply and you say you really want to be an engineer, dead set on it. And then by the time you graduate and you go to school, you've decided, oh, I don't want to be an engineer anymore. Now I think I want to do pre-med. Now I want to do something totally different. That's completely fine. But I think from the reviewer standpoint, the more they get to know you, the better. And so just putting undecided, it really leaves us wanting more. So give us some ideas. I've had so many students say, well, I really like computers. I really like mathematics. I'm thinking some combination or one of those. That's better in my estimation than just putting undecided. So that's my thoughts on that. The college that colleges that you would like to apply to or that you're interested in going to. We're going to ask about extracurriculars. So these are school affiliated activities. You can also put any kind of travel ball. So if you played travel softball or soccer or whatever, you could put that in there as well. Any volunteer activities that you do. So do you do stuff with your church? Are you involved in a political group? Do you work with any local nonprofits? Things like that. Special events or conferences or camps. So, say you went and you helped during the summer at a specific camp, or you went to a leadership camp or something like that. This is where you would put that information. We look at your employment. So if you have any employment history, we ask that you put that in there. Again, we've got short answers and then recommendation contacts. And I'll talk more about what that means a little bit later. So this is just the information again that we ask for the demographics. This is what the financial information looks like in the application. So we are going to ask for the AGI, the number in household. If tax returns are not available, so if your family didn't file taxes, again, I'll work with you. Just give us a little explanation as to why not. And then also, we have a financial statement. So I would say, take your time with this. I mean, this is the only opportunity that our reviewers have to get a sense of what your family's finances really look like. So, ask, and you can even, this is something where you may want to talk to your parent or your guardian. They may know more than you do. Um, Especially when it comes to, maybe mom or dad lost a job, so things aren't going to look the same that they did in 2024. Say you are caring for relatives in the home that really aren't on your taxes, but you're paying for them. Any kind of other information that might be helpful for the reviewers, I would put that in there. So, the the extracurricular and the community service, they're all done through tables. So there's a table on the application, and so you're going to list the name of the activity, what grades you participated. You can put senior even if it hasn't started yet. If you intend to do it this senior year, then you would put it in there. Number of months per academic year, the number of hours per week, and if there's been any leadership roles or special recognition. Again, remember, we're looking at leadership. So this is if you had best team supporter or you won a trophy because you had the best attitude, things like that, make sure that you put this in here. Scholarships are the one time where we want you to brag about yourself. So brag as much as you can. Anything that you can think of, make sure that you include it. And then again, this other information, again, you don't have to elaborate on everything, but I have students that write a lot in this box. And again, it's kind of one of those things, we don't know you. We just have a piece of paper. That's all we have. So any opportunity that you have to talk about how awesome you are, use it. And so if you've been involved in activities, um, expand or expound on them in here if you can. So employment, we do look at employment history. If you want to upload a resume, you can, but you do not need to do both. So the reason we have this here is because if you already have a resume, I don't want you to have to retype all of that information. That's a huge time drag for you. So what I ask is if you're going to upload a resume, make sure you're putting the hours per week because that might not typically be on a resume, right? Normally you don't put that on a resume, but we want to see that. So make sure that you've added that, but you don't need to upload a resume and then go and handwrite everything in. And vice versa, if you don't have a resume, please don't create one for us. The reviewers are not going to give you bonus points if you have one versus if you don't. We just want to get the information. So these are the short answers. Um, I know AI is like a big thing, and I'm just very transparent. I know like some schools really dissuade students from using it at all. I've been to other schools where students are encouraged to use it. We've really tried to make these short answers such that we're just trying to get to know you. So I would hope that you would try your best to just answer this honestly and truthfully, from your own voice. Uh, our reviewers have a lot of experience reviewing scholarships. And so, although there's no cut and dry, when something has been entered into Chat GPT and cut and pasted, it often raises a flag for them, even if they can't, you know, prove it, I guess is the word that I'm saying. So, I mean, work with your guidance counselors, work with your teachers, do whatever it is at your learning institution, follow their lead is what I'm going to say. But I'm really hoping that, part of the reason that we have these, kind of like the autobiography is so that we can really kind of get to know you. So, That's the whole point of these. They're short. They're only 200 to 300 words. So this is not like your formal essay that you would do for a college application or something like that. It's more kind of short answer. So I know that's hard. I feel like AI is just, it's something we're all trying to navigate. Um, so please do your best. So recommendation contacts. So you do not need to get a recommendation letter for this scholarship. What we do want you to do is just name 2 staff that you really connect with, who you feel like they can really just sing your praises, right? Because what will happen is when your school selects your nominee, they're going to fill out a really lengthy recommendation form on your behalf. And these are individuals that either may fill it out for you for the school, or that whoever's filling it out might talk to. Um, some of our students go to a school where there's 80 seniors. And so maybe your guidance counselor knows you really well and they can tell us all about you. But you may go to Lake Central where there's 800. And so your guidance counselor may not know you so well. So this is the guidance department can then go to these individuals and say, hey, John applied. John said that you can talk about what John's up to. Tell us about John. So we just need their names, and then the school is going to do what they need to do on their end. So you don't have to do anything, but just give me their names. And then really just submitting final review. We do ask you to tell us how you heard about us because we rely a lot on guidance counselors. We do some social media, but we're always trying to make sure that we're getting our applications out into the community and that, everybody knows about us. Um, I don't know why this has the reminder. I'm so sorry. There's no there. I should X that out. That bottom part where it says the reminders, forget that. You don't have to do that part. That's for the other one. Um, you're not going to be able to make any changes to your application after you submit it. So there is an opportunity to, you know, uh, print and save as a PDF your whole application. You can read through it and things like that. But once you hit submit, you're not able to go in there and make any changes. And don't forget to submit. I know that sounds stupid, but I've had people that have not submitted. They've done everything, but then they don't go back and they don't hit submit. And there's no way for me on my system to know, like, oh, hey, John's 100% done. He answered every single question. I can't see that. I just see submitted, not submitted. So if you don't hit that submit button, I'm literally not going to know, and I'm not going to be able to forward your application onto your school, and then you might miss out. And then at the bottom, as on the left-hand side, as I mentioned, there's that abandon button. If once you get in there, you decide you're not going to do it, then I would click that button so that I don't pester you a lot. So scholarship tips, brag about yourself. This is really the time to sit back, and I know it sounds goofy, but sit with your friends or sit with your guidance or a teacher or someone in your family that you're close with. And, they can sometimes even help you remember things that you participated in that you might have forgotten. I tell all of my seniors, take this time aside from this application. Even if you say, I'm not doing the Lilly, I'm not interested, take the time to get a Word doc, an Excel doc, Google Doc, whatever it is that you use. You could do it on pen and paper if you want. And just write down all of your activities, write down your goals, write what sets you apart, because you're going to be using this information over and over as you're applying to colleges. This may be your first venture into this whole world, but almost all scholarship applications are going to be similar to this. Your college applications are going to be similar. We're all asking the same kind of questions, right? So if you can keep all of this information and it's written down, preferably, like I said, if you have like a Google Doc and you have it all written down, then you can just kind of like cut and paste it into all the different applications that you're doing, and then it'll save you a lot of time. Uh, Again, making sure that just the capitalization and the spelling, I mean, if you don't take the time to spell it correctly, it will highlight it if it's spelled incorrectly. So I know that you saw that it wasn't spelled correctly and you didn't even take the time to fix it. So that's definitely a big no-no. Answer all of the questions completely. Um, for the essays, don't type them right into the system because glitches happen, things get deleted, and then you can't find it. So I would, again, do everything in a Word doc or other whatever you use, and then just cut and paste into the online application. Make sure that you're answering the questions that we're asking. I think sometimes students will have a really awesome essay and they want to use it, but it doesn't really answer our question, but they use it anyway because they think it's a really great writing example for them. But we're really looking to get the answers that we've asked. So even if you provide us an awesome writing sample, if it's not answering what we want to know, then that's not really helping us. Print your application or read it out loud. Often you're going to hear errors that you don't always see because when you're reading through things, you know what it's supposed to see. I do this all the time. I've done this 10 years and I still find typos in my presentations because when I look at them, I feel like I know what they say. But then when I'm reading them out loud to a group, of course, that's when I see, oh, oops, I didn't mean for that to be there. So, take that time, read it out loud. um, give your references ample time. So that's just a general scholarship tip. For our universal application, you are going to have to do references. We do ask for references. So start thinking of those now, who you're going to ask for those kinds of things. If you have to upload a document, so for the Lilly you don't, but other scholarships you will, please make sure that your documents are correct. Again, I know this sounds silly, but several years ago, we had a different scholarship application, and the valedictorian, um, the school reached out and they said, we just can't believe that our valedictorian scored so low. Like, what happened? And I said, well, she uploaded the wrong document. She meant to upload an essay and she uploaded her financial stuff. And, you hate to do that, but that's the breaks. So, if you're going to be uploading documents to applications and other things that you're doing, really do make sure that they're the right documents. Take your time. So again, 10 years I've been doing this. It's amazing to me how many students submit in the last 45 minutes. So tell yourself it's due the day before. Take your time. Uh, every year we have students that have a computer issue, they have a glitch, and I don't want that to be you. I would hate for you to put all this hard work and this effort into something, and then your computer restarts or something weird happens, and then you're not able to submit because it is through a platform. So I don't manually open and close. Once it's closed, it's closed. So if it's due at 5 p.m., at 5:01, that computer the platform that we use has shut it down. So there's no way to get in there and submit it. So make sure you're doing that in advance. I'm not going to read all these to you. These are just kind of things that the reviewers have kind of told me over the years. Again, they're available on the website. If you want to look at this more thoroughly. I think the biggest question I get is like, what are they looking for? And I really think it's so hard to put into words. I will say, all of the students that apply to our scholarships are all wonderful students. I mean, we have so many bright, creative, strong students who are going to do amazing things. Um, and I think that's just what the reviewers are looking for, right? So it's the best way to try and sell yourself is just you're going to do good things. You're going to give back. Um, and, you know, I guess that's really it. But, because again, we're just looking at paper. So, any way that you can within the application to just kind of let them know who you are. Um, like when we talk about the essay, make it personal, make it passionate. So it's like, if there's something that you're interested in studying, let us know why. Uh, you know, when they're looking through all the applications, if they're like, oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, John wanted to do this because he had this experience with his dad when he was 4. Anything that you can kind of pull in there that makes you memorable, that kind of sets you apart. And everybody has that. So it's not like, oh, I don't have a story. You do. You just have to think about it because everybody's got a story, right? You're all great, amazing people. Everybody's got a great story. It's just taking the time to try and get that on the paper. And so that's really all I have. That's my spiel. Um, I haven't had any questions, so I don't know if that's good or bad. But uh, if you have any questions, obviously you can shout them out now. Or again, if you have specific questions to your situation, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I answer email at all hours, so I'll be sure to get back in touch with you. So anything else? Okay. Well, I'm gonna cut off here. So I appreciate you all watching this, and if you have got any questions, let me know. And otherwise, I hope that you have a great evening.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Ms. Jodi.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I end the meeting.